Look at all that, the wilderness. Home to many a variety of wild animals, intimidating creatures, beautiful vibrant plants, and the striking sunlight that gives life to all. Too bad I'm concealed inside, however, in this vague, empty, yet dense school. What I just described was the various aspects of nature using imagery, which is what this episode's all about. Imagery is a key component of writing and will help you in many ways on both the AP exam and just in general life, describing different situations, different scenes, etc., which will help make your writing more effective. The world of imagery is very vast and very in-depth. Shall we explore it?
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter. T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Ah yes, the warm, light, and concealed feeling of a school classroom. There ain't nothing like it, especially the way that I described it. Some of you may say bleak, boring, or clustered, while others may be more optimistic about it, and describe it as calm, organized, maybe even clean, although that may not always be the case. Anyway, all of these words help define a scene's imagery, the topic of our episode today. Imagery is defined as being the representative of sense experience throughout language. It is all around us in our lives, from the way an environment is portrayed as to how a person looks, to the quality of an object. Imagery is especially important in poetry. It is one of the biggest aspects of poetry that helps bring every poem to life. Just imagine reading a poem and it being very bland, let alone only one sentence. Saying something like, "The fox galloped across the field" is much less exciting as something like, "The bright red fox, scenting the smell of fresh food, started to shriek in pleasure and ran fast across the bright green yet muddy rolling hills." Adding the uses of auditory, which is the description of audio, tactile, description of feeling, olfactory, description of smell, organic, description of hunger, thirst, or fatigue, and kinesthetic, description of movement, imagery adds a lot more to the line than just a 6-word exposition. It adds life to the poem.
Man, I just want some gosh dang Cheerios.
Yo, I got the coolest way to help out my guy.
Oh yeah? And what's that you say?
Only the best way to relieve hunger, my dude.
To the point already!
Images.
Wait, what?
Imaginos. It's got everything you want in it. Shakespeare, Dickinson, anything you want, really.
What's a hearty? Like a hearty meal?
Only the best author of all time. He even wrote Return of the Native.
Okay, wait. What does this have to do with imagery? I mean, I know that's what the audience is probably thinking. I thought that this was an ad for Cheerios.
Well, you see, I have a philosophy that feeding the mind with rich images described by words is better than pictures. I'm not like the other kids who are addicted to screens and such.
Now, how about we analyze some poetry, just like what the young kids enjoy doing. Am I right? Today's selection will be To Autumn by the poet John Keats, as featured in Perrine's Sound and Sense, not to be confused with Jane Austen's ultra-hyped-up sequel to Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. Now, here's a curveball I'll throw at you guys. Take out your books. Yeah, come on, it'll help. Just do it, please. Now turn to page 55 in your books and look for the giant bold words that say To Autumn. Wasn't so hard now, was it? Now, watch this sorcery. Hey, Mr. Wewell, could you pause the video, please? Thank you. Now, if you read the poem carefully, you may have noticed many different aspects of it. Well, duh, that's what a poem is. But what's the most prevalent aspect, you may ask? Well, imagery. It's the whole reason why we're here, aren't we? Duh. Now, I will say, the rhythm of the poem is quite off balance, but it's still there. It's very loose, however, which could indicate how the season of fall is quite unpredictable and can go from one condition to the next. But this ain't a lesson on rhythm. Nah, it's all about imagery up in here. As you may notice, the poem is about nature, which is quite a big surprise, am I right? But seriously, this poem a poem that is about nature is almost guaranteed to utilize different forms of imagery. Remember all those different types of imagery that I talked about earlier? Well, here's where we're going to become a bit more interactive. Try and converse with your group or write down the different lines that relate to each of the different sensory outputs in order to categorize how many different times each type of sensory input is referenced or hinted at. I'll be back later, but be forewarned. You won't have too much time to find it all out. It's fine if you can't, though. It's a pretty challenging poem. Good luck. Oh, and one more thing. Extra brownie points to those who get some symbolism references, just to spice things up a little bit. Have fun, I suppose. Also, don't fight. It's poetry, for Pete's sake. And also, here's the real grabber. Whoever gets the most right gets a prize. There you go. That'll get you guys going.
And begin.
We have invited a special guest with the permission of Zuckerberg, our Lord and Savior, that won't stop loitering in the parking lot and sleeping in the parking garage as a way to get his attention and allow for him to leave without it becoming too dangerous. Don't worry, we have 2 guards on standby. Now, tell us, why won't you just leave?
I am super obsessed with poetry and think that modern social media is quite terrible. It is ridiculous how these young and old cretins are glued to their phones all the time, looking at this garbage and not caring much about their education or real literature.
Sir, you do know we own the biggest media outlet out there in the world with Facebook, man.
Facebook? Do you think I care? I'd rather read a real book. This is why I come to your attention today and why I've done nothing but loiter and sleep in the parking garage for over 90 days.
How the heck did you get past security?
Quiet, you twat! What is this idea that you have in mind, you twat?
Well, what if we had a platform that would allow for exclusive sharing of different people's poetry and such? Would be a good way to educate the good youth of America while also keeping them connected to their friends.
Well, I mean, he does have a point.
Be quiet! I said be quiet! Unfortunately for you, we have so much money. We could buy whatever we want to. We could buy Wattpad, we could buy... Okay, that's the only writing thing I know about. But anyway, it's exactly like you said. It's just the same thing, except you can share stories on it too. People in this world like to have choices and freedom and all that stuff. Now, please, can you just leave? Or I have a restraining order. I'm recording.
A simple no would have been okay.
Ever struggle with finding how to piece together imagery when writing on your own? Or just have trouble finding it in a poem when analyzing it in general? Well, please consider the following. I'm almost 100% positive in my belief that all of you enjoy listening to music, right? Right? Good. Music is essentially poetry with a beat. Every musician/songwriter, from Paul McCartney to Kurt Cobain to even Kendrick Lamar, all have a purpose to their songs and try to make it as lively as possible by incorporating imagery, and symbolism mixed with their instrumentals in order to convey their point. Simply just listen to the Beatles, Nirvana, or Kendrick Lamar, and you'll see. Now, I know those may be three completely polar opposites of one another, but that, in a nutshell, is how imagery is prevalent across all types of music. With that in mind, it is always a good idea to keep in mind that music can help broaden one's idea of imagery and can inspire creative ways or spins on different styles of imagery. Thank you for... Haha! Youth must have thought I was going to cut to another skit, weren't you? Got your neck. Anyway, the time is up for that small competition. Here is a good majority of what I at least found during that poem. Tally up the total points from my list and come to me in the room. Yes, there are two of me at once. How odd is that? The overall idea behind the poem is to essentially showcase the beauty of nature during the fall, or autumn as described by the title, as I may say, and the various steps it takes for it to go into full force. This also shows how complex nature is and how it is truly more than meets the eye. And no, that's not a Transformers joke. Hopefully, the poem gave all of you a good idea as to how imagery works in poetry to be specific, but also how it could be used in creative writing and how to overall just describe things. Could be useful one day. Anyway, since the budget has been reached and time equals money, I bid you all a fond farewell. Until next time, dear viewer, analyze those poems, especially the night before, am I right?